Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tuesday edition on my YouTube channel. As you guys know, this is when I give you guys my top waiver wire ads for the week. I give you guys my top streamable defenses, and it's for week 14, the final week of buys. There's only a handful of teams that are entering their bye week. And then after this, people are locking up playoff spots this weekend. I can't believe we're going to be starting the playoffs in most leagues next week. I mean, I hope you're starting your playoffs next week, but I at least hope that if it doesn't start you next week, maybe you're in a small league or maybe you have a small playoff pitcher. But as long as you're not playing in week 18, I'm not going to judge you whatsoever. But yeah, really quick before I get into my top waiver wire targets for this week, if I can give anybody any type of advice heading into the playoffs, like, I'm gonna give you guys the same type of waiver wire targets I'm talking to you guys about, but I think it is time for you guys to really strategically build your bench. Obviously, like when you get to the playoffs, you want to count on the guys that got you there, right? Like you're not gonna bench your top quarterback for just maybe a good streaming option, or you're not going to look at like maybe matchups because this guy, your stud can perform no matter what the matchup is, right? So one thing I would say is build your bench correctly. So what that means is if you see a top handcuff running back on the market, go grab that guy right away, because if the guy ahead of him, first of all, if he's your running back's handcuff, he better be on your roster if he's on the waiver wire right now, because that will be your backup plan if your top guy gets hurt. And then if your guys' handcuffs not on the waiver wire, see if there's any other top of the line handcuffs out there. Maybe like for example, like David Montgomery, right? Like he's going to get all the touches for Chicago, but if he gets hurt, also Khalil Herbert could win somebody a championship. So if you're out there kind of looking at running backs, you see Khalil Herbert at the bottom of the list because he's not projected for a lot of points because David Montgomery's going to get the touches, and you can handle him on your bench, consider doing that, because if David Montgomery gets hurt this weekend, all of a sudden Herbert's a running back 2 for the playoffs. So consider that. So the same thing with wide receivers. If there's some key upper echelon like handcuff wide receivers, like a Van Jefferson, he was my waiver wire target last week. That guy shouldn't be out there in the waivers as much as he is. As he was last week. I'm not sure what he is. He's definitely above 50% now. Finally got people back on that train. And one last note, streamable defenses. If you're somebody like me, and you've been streaming defenses, and if you have, I understand, like I'm the type of guy where I fill out my bench with running backs and wide receivers. I never use a backup tight end, I never use a backup quarterback, and I dang sure don't use a backup defense. I stream defenses, you guys know that, that's what you're here for. But with that being said, if you got a player like a backup quarterback that you're not going to use, and you don't think anybody's going to pick him up and use him against you, and maybe he's not even that great of a quarterback, just kind of a good streaming option, do look ahead in these coming weeks and see if there's streamable defenses that you can pick up and go ahead and plan ahead to use. So that's something for you to consider when you fill out your bench. All right, guys. So with that being said, I know this was a longer intro. I did want to kind of clarify, I don't think you guys need to rush to get any waiver wire targets unless they're going to potentially, help you this weekend to close out a playoff spot, or guys that are going to maybe help you in the playoffs if injuries were to happen. So let me just go ahead and get into this. As always, starting with the quarterback position for my top waiver wire target of the week, I'm going with the guy down there in New Orleans. Not down there, I'm kind of actually below New Orleans and Tampa, but you get what I'm saying, right? The guy in the Big Easy, Taysom Hill, he's available in 66% of the leagues. Now listen, I'm just like everybody else. I don't think Taysom Hill's a great quarterback, but at the end of the day, he's kind of a fantasy cheat code when he is the starting quarterback. This past week, he finished as the quarterback 4. And it didn't even matter that he threw 4 interceptions. He was a quarterback 4 because of his rushing ability. He had the 264 passing yards, the 2 touchdowns, and then he ran the ball 11 times for 101 yards. And then you look at the matchup this week, he's got the New York Jets. The New York Jets have given up some, I know as of last week, they gave up the most points on the ground, points per game to running backs. Well, Taysom Hill's kind of a running back, right? So he's a great streaming option. Now, I will say this, one last note on Taysom Hill. He has that mallet finger, so he can't really throw the ball. So do pay attention to the Saints practice reports and what's going on in there, because I'm not quite sure if, I know he's got the mallet finger, so does that maybe make Sean Payton shift back to Trevor Siemian as the quarterback, and he kind of just uses Taysom Hill as a utility guy? But as long as Taysom Hill is going to be the starting quarterback for this game, I would be comfortable streaming him against the Jets. this week. My top running back ad of the week, I'm going with Tevin Coleman, the current leading rusher for the New York Jets. He's available in 59% of the leagues. Now, this past week, he had 11 rushes for 58 yards, 3 receptions for 19 yards on 4 targets. Nothing sexy at all, to say the least. But with that being said, he's getting the volume that you would like out of at least a flex option. Now, I don't like his matchup this week. I will be honest with that. He is going against the Saints. So I'm not saying you pick up Tevin Coleman and play him. But if you have to, I mean, as of right now, I'm currently planning on playing him in a flex this weekend. Now, luckily in that league, I've already locked up a playoff spot, so I'm not stressing about it too much. I'm dealing with a couple buys, and I'm also dealing with some injuries. So hopefully Camaro will be back. But I'm dealing with that team is super banged up. I'm just really happy that I've already locked up my playoff spot. Shout out to Kyler Murray for coming back this week and doing that for me. But really quick with Tevin Coleman, so. To me, this week, he's a bench ad. Like I said, if you're in my situation, bye weeks, injuries this week, you need somebody to stream in your flex or maybe at the RB2 spot, you could maybe slide Tevin Coleman in there because he's at least going to get the volume. But for me, he's got a guy that maybe you could even play next week because Michael Carter, which is the reason why I own Tevin Coleman in that league, is because I had Michael Carter, then he got hurt. Michael Carter is going to be on IR for a minimum of at least one. He's going to be on it this week, and then I think at least one more week. He's on it for 3 weeks. So if he's not able to return next week, maybe Tevin Coleman's an option for you if you're dealing with injuries. Because like I said, you want those backup plans, especially at the running back position, going through your playoffs. Now, my wide receiver ad of the week is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's available in 94% of the leagues. It's the Lions rookie wide receiver that a lot of people were high on in the preseason because it kind of looked like he had everything going for him to be what he did this past Sunday, be the leading wide receiver in Detroit because they really don't have any much options in their passing attack outside of TJ Hawkinson. Now, against the Vikings, he had the 10 receptions for 86 yards on 12 targets. He even sprinkled in 1 rush. He only got 2 yards on it, but he did get the ball in his hand. That's a manufactured touch that his offensive coordinator got for him. So you do like to see that. And then with it going forward, obviously the Lions aren't going to make the playoffs, right? So what this is about for the Detroit going forward, this is all about gearing up for next year. This is all about evaluation for what you have on your roster, what they have on their roster, and this is all about preparing and getting those young guys like an Amon St. Brown the reps, the touches, the targets, being on the field, and getting them prepared for his second year next year. So he's going, in my opinion, I think he's going to see a decent target load every week. Now, they are going against the Broncos. That's kind of a little tougher matchup in Denver. I'm not saying Amon-Ra St. Brown's a guy you pick up and play. Maybe if you got injuries, maybe if you got buys. But I think he's a decent bench ad for this point of the year. And then if he comes out and he gets like 10 targets again, plus targets, like all of a sudden maybe he's a sneaky wide receiver 3 in the playoffs. So that's something to watch. If you're able to pick him up and have him as an emergency wide receiver to use in your playoffs, I would consider doing it. My tight end ad of the week, I'm going with Tyler Conklin, the Vikings tight end. He's available in 70% of the leagues. Earlier this year, he kind of was fantasy relevant, then he kind of disappeared at times. Well, he's back in our lives. This past week against the Lions, he had the 7 receptions for 56 yards on 9 targets. Now, the reason why I mentioned he's back in our lives is Adam Thielen suffered a high ankle sprain. Usually high ankle sprains, or at least, I want to say, I'm not a doctor, but I know they usually knock out players anywhere from like 3 to 6 weeks. Maybe he can return sooner than that. These guys are freaks, but Adam Thielen's definitely out this week, okay? Because they play the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday night. So there's I could be proven wrong, but there's no way Adam Thielen, in my opinion, is probably going to be playing on Thursday night. So what that means is they got Justin Jefferson. So either Tyler Conklin or KJ Osborne, the other wide receiver, those are going to be the guys that are going to be seeing Adam Thielen's targets. So if you're looking for a streaming tight end option, I think Tyler Conklin could be an option for you this week. And then if Adam Thielen does have to miss some weeks going forward, maybe all of a sudden he becomes a guy that can help you at the tight end position come playoff time. And then going ahead and getting to the flex ad of the week. This was a guy that was on my list last week, and he proved me right. And I hope those that picked him up did play him, and they were able to get those points off of him. and I think he's going to maybe be a guy you put in your lineup going forward. Russell Gage, the Falcons wide receiver, he's available in 66% of the leagues. This past week, he had 11 receptions for 130 yards on 12 targets. And now this week they're going against the Panthers. That's a decent matchup. And then, like, trust me, I have Calvin Ridley in one of my money leagues. I hope he was able to return, but we haven't heard anything if Ridley's unable to return yet. So who knows if Ridley's going to return this season. So as of right now, it looks like Russell Gage is, because Kyle Pitts, I don't know what's going on with Kyle Pitts. I haven't really dove into the Falcons tape on offense too much. I rewatch these games, but it does seem like he doesn't get as much involved at times. But with that being said, Russell Gage, as of right now, looks like the leading receiver in the Falcons passing attack. He's getting a lot of targets in back-to-back weeks. So if this guy's available in your league, definitely go pick him up, because at this point he should be on most benches. And if not, in those leagues, like some of the leagues I play with 3 wide receivers in your starting lineup plus a flex, yeah, like this is a guy you should pick up and maybe get you in your lineup this week. And then, so again, cap that off. My waiver wire targets this week: quarterback Taysom Hill, running back Tevin Coleman, wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, tight end Tyler Conklin, and then my flex ad of the week is Russell Gage. Now, moving on to my top 5 streamable defenses. Again, these are per Yahoo. They have to have more than 50% availability. And I'll say this: last week was very tough for me. This week was relatively easy for me. There was actually, I actually had to cut some teams off the list, because I'm like, who should I have at my number 5 spot? Because there was like 2 or 3 more I liked outside of that number 5 spot that you guys are seeing right now. But as always, let's start with the number 1 slot. Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks against the Texans. The Seahawks are available in 85% of the leagues. And this is strictly just because they are playing the Texans. Listen, I'm a Colts fan, for those that know, right? They just played the Texans. Dude, that offense is awful. It's really bad. It's super bad. Like, they only had 141 total yards against the Colts. Their leading rusher only had 30 yards. Their quarterbacks combined for, I want to say, 87 yards passing. Because they played both Tyrod, because he got hurt, and then Davis Mills came in, which, by the way, Tyrod is hurt. He's expected to miss this game, so they have the rookie Davis Mills that is going to play in this game. So this is sack potential, turnover potential. Yeah, and these guys are available in most leagues. So if you're looking for a streamable defense, I think the Seahawks are the top option this week. And then my number 2 streamable defense, I am going with the Chargers against the Giants. Now, I think if the Giants had Daniel Jones in the lineup, I definitely would maybe bump him down a couple more slots. But as of right now, it sounds like Daniel Jones is not going to play this week. Mike Glennon suffered a concussion on Sunday, and I hope he does get well. But from the initial reports is they don't know if Glennon's going to be able to go on Sunday. So what that leads to is Jake Fromm. If you guys don't recognize that name, or if you haven't heard that name in a while, that's the old Georgia quarterback from a couple years ago. This guy does not have an arm at all. And first of all, he was on the Bills practice squad for the last 2 years, and they just signed him to their active roster last week. So it's not like he has the whole playbook in his head. So strictly because Jake Fromm is more than likely going to be the quarterback, and even if Mike Glennon is the quarterback, I still like the chances, right? Chargers are coming off that good game against the Bengals offense, so they're going against a Giants offense, which will probably be led by Jake Fromm, has not a good offensive line. They have a banged up skill position group. Saquon, unfortunately, just hasn't been able to get going this year. So I think the Chargers are a good streaming option for you in Week 14. And then my number 3 streamable defense, I am going with the Saints against the Jets. The Saints are available in 54% of the leagues, and it's the Jets, right? The Jets offense is nothing to run home about. Zach Wilson is going through his rookie growing pains. He could give up an interception at any given moment. The Saints have one of the best rushing defenses in the league. I was about to say a different name, but Cameron Jordan and Marcus Davenport, I could see them blowing up those tackles and collapsing on Zach Wilson quite often throughout the game. So yeah, I think the Saints defense is a good streaming option for people this week. And then my number 4 streamable defense is I'm going with the Broncos against the Lions. The Broncos are available in 52% of the leagues. Even though the Lions got that big win on Sunday, I don't know if anybody watched that, but Jared Goff still threw like an interception and he fumbled the ball away. And you guys know what I say. I don't have to. I mean, I'm going to repeat myself just because that's what I do. But we all know what Jared Goff does. He's good for a fumble or he's good for an interception every week. He's going to do at least one, more than likely. So you got the turnover potential. And then you got the Broncos defense. Obviously they kind of had they played relatively well for the most part. It was their offense that didn't help them out when they played the Chiefs on Sunday night. So you got the Broncos defense who has been playing better as of late. So I like that matchup with Bradley Chubb being back. I could see him having a big day and getting a lot of sacks for that Denver defense. And then, like I said, Jared Goff's always good for a turnover or two. And then going ahead and wrapping it up, the number 5 defense I decided to settle on, I'm going with the Packers against the Bears. The Packers are available in 61% of the leagues right now. And it's just going against this Bears offense, which, outside of David Montgomery, they just really haven't been able to be, trustworthy on their offensive side of the ball. I know I did see Matt Nagy said with Justin Fields, it's all about pain tolerance if he's able to play this week. So it's something to monitor, but regardless, the Packers defense will be playing either Andy Dalton or a rookie quarterback in his first game back from his injury. So I like the interception potential. I like Rashawn Gary having a good game and Preston Smith coming off the edge and getting pressure on their quarterback because I really don't like that Bears offensive line. In my opinion, Allen Robinson probably won't play another snap this season just because I think he's ready to get out of Chicago. So he's probably banged up, but he's probably not in a rush to get back on the field because he wants to be healthy for free agency and go sign his contract. So, yeah, outside of Darnell moving, yeah, nothing really in that passing attack, huh? So I'm sitting here, they got Cole Kmet, So yeah, that's all I got to say. That Bears offense is not sexy. The Packers always tend to dominate the Bears. So, and then you're talking about a Packers offense going against a Bears defense that just let the Cardinals light them up in their own home field during a nasty weather game. Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to light up the Bears defense, get up a lot of points, and then that makes that Bears offense pass happy, and then that's when those sacks and those turnovers could happen. So again, my top 5 streamable defenses for this week is the Seahawks against the Texans, Chargers against the Giants, Saints against the Jets, Broncos against the Lions, and then the Packers against the Bears. So yeah, that's the video for you guys today. As always, I always appreciate anybody that takes their time out of their day to watch any of my videos. So if you did watch this video, you liked it, please hit that like button. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. Always trying to get that number up anytime I can. Go tell a friend if you like this, because again, I know this is fantasy advice I'm giving today, but I do my regular football previews on Saturdays. And then when I get to the off season, I'm going to be doing off season content, mainly probably draft content. Maybe I sprinkle in some type of free agency stuff. I'm going to have fun with this channel. So I want to be able to grow this thing and grow this with my community. And I just keep on pushing this thing. And if you guys have any fancy questions at all, as always, hit this comment section out about this video. You can text me, you can call me, you can @ me on Twitter @CodyTalksNFL. You can DM me on Twitter if you want to talk football. So you know how to get a hold of me. Other than that, I will be back tomorrow night when I give you guys my top starts and sits for week 14 in fantasy football. So I'll check you guys then, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Or day if you watch it tomorrow, or in a couple days, by the way.